Oh, there I go.
Hey, ladies.
Oh, look at you. Yes.
You know what? I just realized I'm going to log out and log back in because I think they said Chrome was better than Safari, and I'm in Safari and I don't want any hiccups. So I'm going to do that really quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm in Chrome. So should we just stay still and wait for you to come back? Okay. Guess so. Can you hear me, Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. I was concerned. I was like, Lord, let it come around, and then my audio's not working.
I know. I've been so nervous. I get so nervous about that part. It was like, please just
with the digital stuff, right?
Like, don't mess up on me.
Even in an in-person event, right? Like, if there is a technical issue, you can just say, "Can y'all hear me?" I can talk louder. But are people in here? Okay, we have 3. Can they hear us? Are we live?
Oh.
Hi, everyone! If you're here. Oh, session. Here we go. I'm gonna do the minute.
Oh. Yeah.
Hey, girlies.
Hey.
Hi.
I don't want no
I got my refill. I mean,
Wow.
It's a slightly different thing I have going on in this glass than the Bellini, but yes.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys just tell me really quickly, one thing I do need to check. Can you still see me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I was worried about that. Okay, great. Great.
I think it's been really fun. I wasn't sure how virtual was going to be, but I'm enjoying
it. Yeah. Agree.
Really good platform that they chose for this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got 1 minute. Hey, ladies entering the room. Hello. Welcome.
Hi. Yay, hi.
Welcome to the Parenting and Education track, Mothering Black and Brown Children. We're going to get started in just a minute here. Yes, sneaking in case we fill up.
Hey.
You were thinking.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna do the obligatory. I'm gonna take the photo and post it on the IG story. I was gonna say, be cute. Hold on. Oh, now you can see my phone. Okay. Yeah, that was cute.
I think that the topic we're discussing, it's serious, it's heavy, but we're going to bring some levity to this conversation as well. We're going to have a good time. So we're so grateful for those of you who chose to be with us today. I want to honor everybody's time, and it's right at the top of the session here. So I want to go ahead and get started. My name is Madden Neshete Jones. I am the founder and creator of Love Madden. Love Madden is a community that is focused on bringing healing through hospitality and helping women to create safe spaces to share our stories and have conversations. We know that sometimes there can be barriers to therapy in our conversation, in our community, but a lot of times conversations and just being able to talk to a friend, it's kind of a lost art, really help us to sort through some of our issues until we can get into whatever kind of care that it is we need. And so that's what I do. I help people to take down some of the intimidation of just gathering around your table and connecting with your girlfriends, which is not so easy to do in a pandemic. So I'm having a pivot a little bit, but really having those real heart-to-heart conversations beyond just the chats and the text messages and all that good stuff. So you can find me everywhere at Love Madden. You can follow me on the socials at Love Madden. You can sign up for my monthly newsletter. It comes with an easy-to-do recipe every month at lovemadden.com. And you can listen to my podcast. I have 16 episodes locked and loaded from season 1. We just finished, so you can listen at Love Madden anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's MAADEN. So without further ado, I want to introduce the panelists here today. I am so grateful to be able to have this conversation and dialogue with these lovely ladies. So I'm going to read these bios. These bios are legit, y'all. So I'm going to give y'all the abbreviated version because these ladies are accomplished. So I'm going to start with Kiera Pisante Houghton. Did I say Pisante right?
You did, girl. You got it.
Right?
You're
Okay.
relevant.
All right. So Kiara has been named one of the 100 most influential Black Americans by Ebony Magazine. Kiara Houghton is the Director of Communications for the Civil Rights Corps, which is an organization leading landmark anti-racist litigation and high-impact advocacy that empowers communities to change our unjust legal system here in the United States. She's got lots of former roles that she's worked in the same vein, right, of communication and advocacy. So she was a communication director for the Democrats on the U.S. House of Representatives side. She has been the Southern Regional Press Secretary and National Director of African American Media for the Democratic National Committee. She was a communication director for one of our DC Council members. And so even though she's very young, she's done lots of work. So we're very impressed by Kiara. Kiara Houghton has earned her master's in public administration from Howard University, HU, and her bachelor's degree in journalism from Auburn University. She currently lives in the district with her husband, Malik, and their daughter, Zora. Welcome, Kiara.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, madam.
Of course. And I also want to, and you can find her on the socials as well at KIARA PESANTE, and I will drop that in the chat for you guys so you can find her.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, sweetheart. I also want to introduce to you all Dr. Nicole Kamak. You can find her on the socials. I'm going to say hers first before I forget, at Black Mental Wellness. So Dr. Nicole is a licensed clinical psychologist. Throughout her career, she has continually focused on mental health issues specific to the Black community. And she's worked to identify ways to address the cultural and systemic issues that impact Black mental health and wellness. This passion led to the development of the Black Mental Wellness Corps, which she is the president and CEO of. Black Mental Wellness was founded by licensed clinical psychologists with a mission to provide resources about mental health and behavioral health topics from the Black perspective. Dr. Kamak is the mother of a bright and creative 7-year-old daughter. She is an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and she enjoys traveling. Welcome, Dr. Nicole. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. Ladies in the chat, we see y'all. Thank you for
we do. Oh, look at all these people tuned in.
Yes, I see y'all. Thanks so much. I see y'all here. So, like I said, this is a conversation that is important. It's timely. It's serious. It's heavy, but we're going to really try to keep this conversational and as engaging as possible because we want to hear from you. And we want to hear your experiences. Like, I know we're here with the psychologist, we're here with the communications director, but we're also just mamas and sisters and women having a real life conversation. So let's do that too. So with that being said, we are going to start with a lightning round. I was going to say something fun, but the words are like, something fun, something a little bit serious. So the moderator, that's me, will say a word or a phrase, and the panelists, my lovely ladies here, will say the first thing that comes to mind. So this is like a word association. So to keep it easy, so you're both not jumping up at the same time, I will have Kiara go first, and then Nicole for each one of the words. Okay? First word. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
First word, racism.
Enduring.
Exhausting.
Ugly. I'm not supposed to be playing, but back in my role. Protest.
Necessary.
Why was I thinking that? You think?
Great minds.
All right, y'all. White supremacy.
This might surprise people what I'm going to say. Brilliant.
Wow.
I think they're cowards.
Wow, yes. I love that you all are also playing along in the chat. Drop your words in. Racism and boring. Ugly. Yeah. Play along with us. Equity.
I'd say striving. We're striving.
Not existent.
That too.
Riot.
You said riot?
Riot.
Language.
Yes.
Media driven.
Come on now here. All right. Justice. Justice.
Goal.
Necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And I love the words I'm seeing. By any means. Overdue. Yes.
My God.
Black Lives Matter.
Duh. Duh. That's my word.
I'm going with you on that one.
All right, we got 2 for duh. Mothering.
We gotta take it back to Clueless. Had to take it back to the 90s.
Take it back. Only with my hobbies, okay? Mothering Black children.
Oh, anointing.
A joy.
Joy. Yeah.
Joyful. Yeah.
A responsibility. Major responsibility.
Complex. Yes. These words in the chat.
I love it. Blessing, anointing, joyful.
Somebody.
Yes. Come on, somebody.
Blessing.
All right. So that's our lightning round. I see blessing. I see chosen. Oh, that's so good.
That's a good one.
That's so good. So for those of you who are following along, if you have your Bellini, grab your drink, take a little sip, right? We're going to transition into some of the Q&A. Mm-hmm.
You're going to need it.
You won't need it. It's about to get real. Okay, so Tara, this first question is for you. Ladies, we know that words make a difference. Your background in communication, I'm the same. We know that they can be tools to empower. They can also be weapons to reinforce stereotypes. What are some terms, words, language that we should be using with our children when engaging around topics of race and equity versus those that need to die? What words need to go away?
Yeah, well, thank you for this first question. So as you mentioned, language is very important. It's very important to me. Obviously, I've made a life out of the words that we choose to talk about things. So the very first thing I should say is that I am not of the belief that you need to use a separate set of words or phrases to describe what's happening in the world with children versus with adults. I think that children are brilliant and capable and just understand so much more than we tend to give them day-to-day credit for when they're like nagging our nerves and tap dancing on that last nerve and yelling and screaming and running up and down. But they are brilliant, right? So they can understand if you explain things to them using the same words that you would use talking to an adult. So I'll just go through some examples I think that might be helpful for the ladies in the chat. So the first phrase I really, really, really want y'all to stop saying and using immediately is criminal justice reform, okay? Criminal justice reform is not real. It does not exist. That is not a thing. That is a myth, and it's really largely pushed by like a lot of like propaganda. It's just not, right? Like it is, there's no justice in the system, okay? And everyone in it is not a criminal. So putting all of that together already is othering and is just factually wrong. So what you should use to describe, we operate under a set of laws and the laws are divided in criminal, civil. So when describing the criminal system, you should say the legal system or the criminal legal system, right? That's how you should talk about that. Another one, the word reform by itself. Now, I'm sure you all have seen all over social media the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of talk about this word reform and what it means and how we use it. So reform, again, we have to be very intentional about our language, right? Reform implies that something can be fixed or changed. Okay, but if it's a thing that we know that cannot be fixed or changed, we should not be talking about reforming it, correct? Okay, amen. So I want to stop saying that. Stop saying things like the system is broken. That's also just wrong, right? The system is not broken. It's operating exactly how it was designed.
Right, that it was created.
Right?
That's
it's
right.
not broken. So stop saying that, right? That's a thing, that's a Pollyanna thing that like, to be really frank, right, white Americans love saying because it makes them sound like they're a part of the conversation and they know what's going on. But no, the system is working exactly how it was designed to work. So stop saying it's broken. Transitioning over to some more like race-specific language with children, I said it's so critically important for us to be intentional. One of the things that I often say to parents, and I'm guilty of this myself, and I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of this, so this is not me like pointing my fingers at you, is stop using like food or dessert to describe children, Black children. So stop saying children are chocolate or caramel, right? Or mocha or whatever, right? Like, let's stop saying that. Their children are not food. They are not to be chewed up and spit out by the system that may try to do that to them anyway.
Wow.
So stop describing children as food, okay? Let's just be really positive about brown and Black. You can say medium, you can say light, right? You can say fair. These are fair English language words, right? But let's be really specific to try to stop doing that. And like I said, I was guilty of that myself for many, many years, mostly because I love chocolate. And so I was like, oh, if I'm describing a brown skin person as chocolate, they know that I love them, right? And it's like, no, let's stop.
Well, Erica in the chat said we don't call white children marshmallow.
Ooh,
we don't.
That's
We sure don't, or anything we like, right? White sugar, whatever, right? We don't do that. The other thing I'll just say, so we don't want to take up all the time, obviously we need to be speaking very affirmatively about hair, about complexion, about accents, okay? Because we're from different parts of the country. Some of us may have immigrant, family members, or we are immigrants ourselves and have different accents. About noses, obviously one of the markers of being part of the African diaspora can be the shape of our nose. And this kind of falls over into the category of sexualizing children, and this tends to happen with girls. But let's stop calling little girls thick, right? Like, little girls are not thick. We can describe their legs as strong if they're strong, right? Oh, you could be a gymnast. Oh my gosh, you're so strong. Like, you're so right. We can talk about it like that, right? And then we can talk about our sister Simone Biles. We can talk about Dominique Dawes. We can talk about the legacy and history of amazing Black gymnasts in this country, right? I'm just giving you an example. That's not. But let's stop, right? So let's just be really intentional about our language when we're describing things.
Thank you. That's great. We have a couple people.
I got a reaction going in the chat, so let me just back up and let you keep going.
They're in the chat saying they're not code switching anymore. They're done with that. They're over the code switching. So that is probably a whole nother conversation.
Right.
I want to give Nicole a chance to chime in on this next question here. One of the complexities of mothering Black and brown children is that we as mothers ourselves are grappling with, healing from, and resolving our own racial experiences and identities. So this is a loaded question. So, answer to the extent that you can, but how do we raise our children while negotiating these complexities with ourselves? I got no answer.
It's a loaded question. It is.
We got the doctor on the case. I
will say, in most of the things that we're doing as parents, we're always like healing, right? Whether it's related to who we are in our identity, what we're dealing with, related to what's happened to us in the past, what's happening now. And so in order to do both roles, you have to allow space for both. And that means acknowledging where you need to put in that work to heal, to work on it. You need that space. So if you need to, find a therapist, find some friends, find a safe space, go on your journey. So you can do both at the same time, but you need to put in and be intentional about healing what it is that you're going through. And then you have to be able to separate that to be able to parent and talk to your kids to see, well, where is my kid in this process? Because you may be on two different paths, kids process things at different, rates than what we do, depending on where they are developmentally. And so you want to be able to maintain both, like separate them, see where your child is, be able to ask the questions, but you do have to work through what are those things that are unresolved or that you're still struggling with. I don't know if all parents agree with this, but this is something that I personally do. I don't think we have to shield our kids from everything. And so if there are parts of it where if you're being open and it's appropriate, so you're not just going to tell your kid everything that's happening, but if it's appropriate and it's something that you can share, that's something that will allow both of you to heal. Because what you're doing is affirming what they may be experiencing, you're normalizing it, and then as a family, you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's great. First Lady Michelle Obama, in her book Becoming, she talks about how her mother was saying that it was her responsibility to raise an adult, not to parent a child. And everything that she did was trying to prepare her to become a woman. And so sometimes by trying to shield and protect our kids, we're not giving them the preparation that they need at whatever developmental stage that they're at. And we do that out of love and protection. So I think that's such a great point.
And someone in the chat was saying like their mom didn't do that. My mom didn't do it either. So it's sometimes like a battle against how I was raised and what I want my daughter to have. And so I have to like, even if it doesn't feel comfortable, I open up because I want her to have a different experience and a different range of emotions than what I have.
Yeah, and this whole track is parenting and education. The next session that follows this one I'll be moderating is called Motherhood My Way. And so we're really going to delve deeper into what that looks like. So if you want to stick with us, we'll have a lot more conversation around that. Yeah. So next question. Our homes are safe spaces for our children, or at least they should be, right? That is the goal. However, when they step into other spaces like school, like other people's houses, you know, if we got grown kids and they're going off to college or off on their own, we can't always protect them. So what are some practical steps that we can take to ensure that we are helping to protect or keep our kids from dealing with racial trauma? How do we help them through that process when they leave the cocoon?
So I'll jump in on that. So and I'm glad you kind of teed it up for exactly what I was thinking when you said it, Mine, which is I want to push back on this idea that all of our homes are safe spaces against racism for our children, right? Like, we have to take a deep breath on that, y'all, but we have to be honest with ourselves. As the last question just indicated, and what Dr. Kamak was saying, all of our homes are not safe spaces against racism. Just because you are Black or your spouse is Black or your partner is Black or there are Black people who live in your house does not mean that it's a safe space against racism. And that's why earlier when I was asked about white supremacy, the word I used was brilliant, because part of the brilliance, part of the ingenious tool of white supremacy is that it has permeated within our own psyches and that we are perpetuating some of these same ideas in our own homes, right? So what I would ask, and I would just like challenge of all the mothers in the space, right, is, you know, are you actively affirming the glory of your child's hair texture, right? Like this is an example, right? Or are you maybe projecting some unresolved hurt onto them? I shared with Dr. Kamak earlier that I have a good girlfriend who recently shared with me, she's in her mid-30s and now she has 2 daughters. She recently shared with me that you know, her mother's hair texture is very different from her own. And all throughout her upbringing, every single person in her family, every Christmas, Thanksgiving, every family gathering would remind her that her hair was different from her mother's and would say, "Ooh, you just, you know, you just didn't get your mom's good hair. Ooh, you just." Imagine hearing this, right? Like, and she said she's still hearing it now, like as a full adult. With 2 daughters, right, who have beautiful, curly, thick heads of hair, and that she is trying to empower them, make them feel good about their hair while also resolving the issues that she has with her own, right? What, you know, are you speaking to your children with kind words, or are you letting your emotions rule you, right? And are you always yelling and screaming and mimicking maybe what you saw other matriarchs in your family do? Nothing's wrong with that. We all have bad days. We all are gonna struggle on that front for sure. But if that's the like norm, right, in your home, right, does your child feel safe there? I mean, I know this, again, this is judgment-free zone, right? We're having a family conversation right now, right? You know, another thing I have said to a lot of people, and I think this is becoming more popular now, and I'm so happy to see it, you know, how often are you reading to your children and with your children, right? What kinds of protagonists are in those stories? People are often surprised when they come to my house and they see Zora does not have a single book with a white protagonist. People think that's crazy. Like, how do you not have any Dr. Seuss? I'm like, no, every single book in this house that she reads has a Black girl protagonist or a Black boy protagonist. And that's it. That's what we're going to do for now. So the question, to control that when she gets to school, she can see everything else and everything. But while she's in this house, she will know that our stories matter, our voices matter, our language matters, our dialect matters, and that is going to be centered in this house for her, right? You know, Dr. Kamak and I joked earlier about, we were talking about the Disney movie Frozen, and how I had struggled for so long with letting Zora watch Frozen because I don't let my child watch movies with platinum blonde, blue-eyed protagonists. I just don't. I don't want her, you know, doing anything like, well, how come? And we both settled on that Frozen got a pass because it's very pro-woman, it's pro-girl, it's very strong. The girls are the saviors, the girls are the rulers and the leaders, and that's how we convince ourselves it's okay. But I still I'm like, okay, we want to watch Moana? Do we want to watch Elena and Avalor? Do we want to watch Tiana? Like, I'm always like immediately offering the other thing before we go to that. So anyway, I say all that to say, you know, we have to be conscious of like the images that our children are ingesting in our homes, the kinds these are the kinds of like questions, right, that we have to wrestle with and we have to resolve so that we, when our babies do take those steps onto that campus, into that school, at someone else's house, so you know, Black mamas, we don't do sleepovers, but we're gonna come back to that, right? Like that we know, we have no doubt that our children are bold and empowered and clear about who they are and whose they are, right? Yeah. So it wouldn't matter what was happening at the school, it wouldn't matter what was happening at the other person's house, because they're like, nope, that's not true. My mommy and daddy told me, nope, that's not right. And they know, right? They have that confidence with them. So that's how I'd answer that question.
That's great. Yeah, I came up the same way. I remember my parents searching high and low for a black Cabbage Patch doll, you know, when it wasn't so easy to find. Parents said that her son loves Moana, and I thought that was good too. I know you have a daughter, and so, you know, we're speaking from that lens, but like having our boys
need to watch Moana.
Girl, yeah, strong female role. Definitely. Okay, so we're going to transition into our next question here. Dr. Kamak, this one is for you. Our mamas here at the Momference all have children of different ages who might attend different schools that are vastly diverse. So what are some of the best practices in how we introduce and continue conversations with our children of all ages, from toddler to teenager, and who might live in all different communities, predominantly white, predominantly Black, urban, suburban, you know, homeschooled, multiracial, if that's even a thing. So you could share a little bit about how we can talk to children from across this spectrum.
That's a good one. And it sort of like easily flows from what we were just discussing, because the foundation is home. And so if you're naturally having these conversations, they're seeing images of themselves in the books and the movies and the people, they are fully embraced in who they are in the home. Then when they go out into the world, they're more sure of who they are and how to interact in that space. And so I think for parents, that's another space where you have to be mindful that you're not projecting your fears and worries onto your child. So my child goes to a school that's predominantly white, and it was a real struggle for me, right? As a parent, having to think about education wise, what was the best place for her, and also having that fear in my mind of how will she be perceived? How will she think about her skin? What will, you know, how does she fit in? Oh, I don't see enough Black girls in the classroom. I don't, you know, all of these fears. Those were my fears. When she went to school, they were like, oh, wow, look at her hair. It can do all of this fun stuff. I want hair like hers. Like she would go in like, oh, Black girls rock. And it was like so you have to watch that. And I think sort of meet your children where they are. And in a lot of these spaces, we also have the power in that school to talk to the teachers, the administrators, the leadership, and ask these questions so that they can also have things in place that is includes everybody, inclusive of everyone. I do think it starts from home. So being able to have that space of my daughter, she just finished first grade, and just to go back to even that first thing when you were talking about, you know, what does family say about hair and skin color and things like that? My baby's brown, right? When she was born, someone said to me, oh my goodness, I hope she doesn't get any darker. She's going to have, it's going to be so hard for her. Now I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. It's a little different now, but you know, at KKK, it was very segregated. I didn't realize that until I went to college and was like, oh yeah, where were the white people? But so I knew what the background of that was. It was fear of how she would be perceived. And so what I had to do was intentionally, I'm not just going to get brown dolls. I'm going to get dolls who look like you. I'm going to point out these beautiful women. I'm not going to say you're pretty because of your brown skin. I'm going to show you that you are just beautiful.
That's right.
The message. And so I worried about all of these things. When she went to school, a kid made a comment to the Black kids. It was very intentional about the skin color being the color of poop. And, you know, for as much as I was upset and of course, you know, made little comments, whatever, the fact that the kids were like, something must be wrong with her. Like, look at us. And they didn't internalize it. Those kids knew that something was wrong with the kid and told the teacher, like, you need to talk to her because that's not okay. You know, so those are the things where if you're having those conversations, being intentional about it, don't wait until problems just come up. Check in with your kids, have the conversations that are appropriate across the, you know, developmental age ranges. And as they get older, the questions will get more complex. They may feel uncomfortable, but you should still have them.
Yeah, those open lines of communication are important. And it brings us back to Kara's point, which is if we're constantly berating and yelling, and screaming at our kids, or that's how we're dealing with our own issues, it makes it more challenging for them to come to us with their issues. So we have to check ourselves, it's a hard pill to swallow, but.
Yeah. And the sad thing is too, to Nicole's point, like she's already saying, like Black mothers naturally have to be advocates for their children in education. Like it's an additional burden that we have, and it's an additional blessing we have. But there is no reason ever, right? Why, like and this was a model. I thank God for this every day. I don't have a lot of friends who had this model, and one thing that I will give my parents all the credit for. At every school level, they had every single principal's teacher where they lived. Okay, they had their home addresses. They had phone numbers. Yes. They knew the Pasantes would pull up to the school. If there's a problem, they know one of them, Andrea Over, will pull up to the school, and not because it's appropriate for parents to be cursing out educators, but that's not what it is. But if there's a question or an issue, they know, oh no, we need to have a meeting. Oh, I'll wait till you're done. Oh, it's your turn. I have all afternoon. I'll be here.
That's health. That's with their pediatricians. I mean, that's across the board. We have to advocate for our children, ourselves, our families across the board.
And children to do the same. So even with like the pediatrician, I forget what book it was. I think it was The Outliers, but it talked about how they're just looking at communication across different groups of people and all of these things. And one of them was allowing your kids, like when they go to the pediatrician, to ask questions, to answer for themselves. When they're ordering food, allow them that space so that they're developing their voice. And it's interesting because, some Black people aren't used to children asking questions. And they don't want to answer them. But if they're going to find their voice and have that confidence and know who they are and how to communicate and navigate the world, we have to give that to them because the world isn't going to give it to them. So do you have concerns you want to share with your doctor?
That's right. That's right. My mother used to do that, and my grandmother found it very off-putting. She this little girl talk too much, but look at me now, Grandma. Made a living out of talking. Next question. During this time of racial unrest, we found ourselves having to balance staying informed, which leads to strong feelings and emotions on our part, and putting on a smile for our children as much as we can. How can we lessen this load of balancing joy and rage on ourselves mentally and physically? Dr. Kim, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
You keep giving me the heavy ones.
You're the doctor.
Again, with anything that you do, the balance is you have to process what it is that you're feeling, right? So you have to be able to allow space for that, especially when it comes to rage and what's happening in the world. You also can't let it consume you. Like you still have to find those pieces of joy, happiness, what's working in the world, because that rage can consume you and you don't know how that energy might transpire, right? So you want to be mindful of that. Find your healthy outlets of dealing with it and then bring that to, and then separate that from your children. I, again, believe wholeheartedly in showing your kids a range of emotions. And so if there are things that are coming up and they just so happen to see you upset, explain it to them. Because it is upsetting. These things that we should not allow. This is how I'm responding to it. But then the beautiful part about it is you can show them what to do next. So I'm not just upset. Here are some ways I might handle it emotionally. Here are some ways that I might contribute to this movement so that the world is a better place, a different place. And that way you're also instilling some hope in them that we don't just have to take these things, but there are actions that we can do with them. But find that space. And I know it's like we all hear this like unplug, but it's true. Unplug when you need to unplug. You need to step away from TV, social media, your phone, reading the newspaper, whatever it is, and then allow yourself the space to sort of tap into those things that ground you, that help you feel centered, that helps you spiritually, that helps you as a parent. That's how you find the balance, because it's almost like once you reset, you can come back stronger than before. So for me personally, like I couldn't watch, the murder of George Floyd at first. I could not watch it. It was like, I didn't even have the capacity. I could just tell by the facial, like the clip, like I don't have it. I accidentally saw it. It just sort of played automatically, but it took me a moment to get it together. Like, so I say all of this to say you take the breaks when you need to, and then you come back to it. So that first week was a really hard week for me. And I'm a psychologist. So working with Black people who've experienced this, who are also traumatized, I work with veterans. It was a hard week. I had to I got to cut it off. There are things that I can do. I can come back to it. But for now, I need to tap into the joy of a 7-year-old being happy about school.
Yes. Yeah. Kiara, I want you to respond to the question as well. And to your point, Nicole, I think, I know that within, sort of how we see white supremacy play out, that intentional showing of Black bodies being dragged in the street, in the media, of us witnessing and becoming desensitized to Black people being murdered, it's like a psychological warfare. I was saying to my husband, you don't never see white people being killed in the street like a dog playing on your face. Like, I'm trying not to watch it, and I couldn't avoid it. Mainstream media, social media, right? So that's part of the tactics, and we have to be aware of that. I know people say it's important. Well, if we didn't see that, this wouldn't have happened. Sure. But let's also let's stay woke, people. Let's be aware of why these things are playing out. So I had to,
it's sort of like,
yeah, go ahead.
It almost feels like the same equivalent of modern day lynching, right?
Yeah.
What that
feel like it's very clear about that. So my intentionality with language.
Yes.
And to your point, I have not watched that video. I don't watch any of these videos because I know the ending. I know, I know how they end. And there's nothing about what happens in any of the parts of the video that's going to change my opinion about what happened or about the source or the root of the issue. The one video that I did accidentally see was Ahmaud Arbery, because there was a Twitter automatic play thing, and because that video was literally 30 seconds, it just played. And at first I was like, what is this grainy thing I'm looking at? And I was like, right? But I don't watch any of those videos. I strongly encourage everyone to not watch them, because I don't think you need to watch a lynching to believe that it happened, right? So I agree with everything Nicole said in terms of taking a step back, taking a beat, unplug, and for those of us who have, obviously we all have children. I think a lot of us have young children. We need to be very conscious of our reactions and our energy and our spirit around these things. I was literally the other day, looking at my phone, and I think I had a reaction to an email. I was like, what? Something like that. My young daughter walks up to me and says, "Mommy, you okay?" And I literally just made a face at my phone, right? Wow. It was like a chin check. It was a reminder that, she's literally constantly watching me, and I'm free to emote and feel. And if I was actually having a problem, I would have sat down with her and said, actually, Mommy's not okay, and let me tell you why. I would have had a conversation. But I was legit just being like, what is this email?
Right.
Why is this person? That's what it was. It wasn't anything else in that moment. So yes, I agree with everything Nicole said. Take a beat, take a step back, try to unplug, and you can come back stronger. But make sure that when you do come back, you're doing it with facts, okay? Because being a factless Black is not a thing that anyone wants to be, okay? Yeah. You want to be Blacks with facts, okay? So let's make sure we're reading accurate.
Blacks with facts.
We're reading accurate material. We're reading things that are sourced from real things. We're not reposting memes that are not true. We're not right. Make sure we're doing a check on the information we're consuming also. I know we have to start to wrap up, Ona.
Yeah, we're approaching the last 10 minutes, and I know that the last 10 minutes were dedicated to Q&A. So please, if you have any questions, start to drop them in the chat. But while we're doing that, I do want to ask you all just a couple of more questions I have here, because I know hopping is quick. That time, shut off, right? So I'm trying to make sure we're moderating.
Do you want me to answer the last question? Or
do you see one? Do you see one that's come through? Please do.
No. The one about what they can do.
Yes.
Okay. I know that's an important one for a lot of people. Go
Okay, so the question I have for you, many of us want to make an impact for and with our families, right? So this is the takeaway from this session. What recommendations do you all have for moms who want to take a more hands-on approach to supporting the movement?
Sure. Well, this is what I do. So here's a couple of things. First of all, donations are hands-on. Let me just say that. And then I feel like, I just clicked and I just put through, but These, and I'm talking to local grassroots organizations that are actually organizing these marches and these actions and some of these rallies and some of these direct things that you're seeing, which is, and there's no shade to my brothers and sisters who work at these organizations, that means like the ACLU doesn't need your money. The Urban League doesn't need your money. LDF does not need your money. NAACP does not need your money. They have multi-million-dollar budgets every year, and they've brought in a lot of money in the last 2 to 3 weeks. It's through partnerships with these every corporation that emailed you that said, we believe Black Lives Matter and we're donating a portion of our proceeds, it's going to one of those 4 organizations. They're fine. Right. But like Freedom Fighters DC and Black Lives Matter DC and like the Healing for Liberation Network, I'm sure Dr. Kim Mack is a part of, and all of those sort of localized grassroots groups do need your money. And so you should be donating to them. That's a hands-on thing that you can do right now. Collective Action for Safe Spaces, Black Swan Academy, even Mama Toto Village, like any of these organizations that are actually like supporting, sustaining, and uplifting Black life locally, wherever you are, you should be giving to. Product donations is a thing that you can get kids involved with. So I've tried to encourage a lot of moms, you know, at these actions and at these protests, people need water, people need paper towels, people need gloves, people need masks, people need sanitizer, people need snacks. Make it a thing with the kids. If you go to Costco this week and you have the resources, girl, get that case of water, get the case of snacks, and get the Ziploc assembly line going and let them put, you know, a protein bar in, and the next one puts a one, right? Like make these kits for these protesters, connect with a local organization that can give you drop-off instructions, and then they will distribute them at their next protest or action. Another thing that I should announce or I should tease, if you're a mom in DC, which most of you are, this Friday, so Juneteenth, me and 2 other dope Black moms are working with the Movement for Black Lives on a mom and baby friendly action. I know a lot of you have been nervous about protesting in a pandemic, and you should be. We are working to create a space that you can feel involved and engaged, and you can go down to all the things you've seen on TV, but like try to not get sick, right? So that's another thing. I can share more information on my social media about that tomorrow. Signing petitions is still important. Calling and emailing legislators is important. Let me tell you why that's important. It is budget season right now. All across the country in local governments, it is budget season. So where they're putting the money in your schools, in your parks, in your roads, fixing them potholes, for the trash, for the police, is happening right now. So you need to organize yourself, Google, find out, you can go to Ballotpedia or any one of these websites, your local government, when their budget hearings are. Show up if you can, if you feel comfortable, and if you're able. If you're not, submit testimony. If you have a story to share, they're all taking written testimony, email testimony, some of them are taking video testimony. Show up and participate in that process, because they are deciding whether or not your teachers have to come in their own pockets to supply their classroom next year, right? Like, which should not be the case, right? When we're spending billions of dollars on the police. We can talk about that later. So I just want to say, like, those are a couple of things that you guys can do right now that are hands-on that will make a huge impact.
Is there any way that you can share that list on your social media? Can you create a post or story?
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'll do it.
I was gonna say, all our social media handles are pinned to the top of the chat. So you can find out about that opportunity, the kid and baby friendly protest opportunity, as well as all the other there was a question in the chat about books and resources. Do y'all have any off the top of your head?
Yeah. I have a lot. I can share them on my social media. But there's a lot of classics. Obviously, there's a lot of classics, right, that we probably read years and years ago, or like maybe you didn't really read it, but you read just enough to get the A on the paper.
Right.
It's good for you to go back and read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Some of those books that literally are probably sitting around in your house or your mama's house or whoever's house. I suggest you tap back into those and get your kids reading them too. It's never too early.
Nice. Okay. Go ahead.
Closing wrapping
book. I don't know. It's like Little Leaders, something like that, and it has like
Vashti Harrison.
Oh, I have them. Oh, they're upstairs though. Yeah, Little Leaders, and they have boy and girl versions. They have the boy version. The boy moms are like, we need to
ask about the boys. Yeah.
Vashti Harrison, Little Leaders. Just dropped that one in the chat. We're gonna end by kind of the way we started. Which is by doing word association again. So I want to know what these terms mean to you.
Can I do a little, Maddie, do you mind if I do a little bit of a thing, a little chant, a little 2-second thing with people?
Yeah, let's chant.
Okay, ladies, we're not going to chant like Buddhists. But I want you guys to, where you are, repeat what I'm saying. These are the words of our sister Asada Shakur, and these are words that I think that you should carry with you as you're thinking about, you know, everything that's happening in the world. Okay, so wherever you are, say them with you, but obviously my panelists say it with me. So it is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is
It's our duty to win.
We must love each other.
We must love each other.
And support each other.
And
support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Yes.
So good. So good. So good. So good. We're getting so much feedback on that
in the chat.
Yes.
I can type that in the chat for you ladies.
So three words as we close here, 3 phrases. Dr. K-Mac, I'll start with you. What does this mean to you and what does this look like in your home? Real quick, free Black child. What does that mean?
Not putting my limits on what it is for her to be a child. So if my daughter wants to, she's very creative, do art, like dance. She's always recycling something and turning it into something else. I feel like she's a little bit of a hoarder, but she always turns it into a creative masterpiece. And I found that when I don't put my limits on her, she feels free. So allowing that space where I'm not, dictating who she is as a 7-year-old.
Beautiful. What about Black girl magic? What does that mean in your home?
Me?
Yeah, I'll stay with you for these 3 and then I'll go to Kira.
I love Black girl magic. It's just like that excellence, that thing that only we have, that rhythm, that like connection, that way that, even when I watch her walk in a room with her friends, how they gravitate to her. That's your magic, baby.
Yes.
Yes.
And finally, Black boy joy.
Oh, you know what I love about Black boy joy? Like, I love seeing little Black boys being boys.
Yes.
Free, not having to be the man of the house, not having to carry the responsibility, not being aggressive, just like smiling and happy, and it's okay.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Kira, same 3. Free Black child. Free Black child.
The free Black child to me is a child who walks the world knowing who they are and without restrictions and the white lens, as Toni Morrison would say.
Black girl magic.
Similar to Nicole, it's just like resilience and power and brilliance and everything.
And we'll close with Black boy joy.
Power. Smiles, dancing, happiness. Yeah, that's it. I just love like watching little Black boys like jump up and down and dance and everything. I'm thinking about like my godson and Kendra, I think is on here, her son Jojo. I just love seeing them play and be boys.
And just play and be boys. Yeah, they only have a window to do that. Thank you all so much, ladies. I've loved this time with you all. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing in our communities, at the forefront, and the leaders that you are. You all are amazing. Love you both.
Oh, thank you guys.
Ladies in the chat, this was fantastic.
Please connect with me. I want to give you guys everything.
Yes, please make sure our social media is tagged at the top. Please connect with all of us. We've got lots of resources for you. Please stick around for parenting and education session 2, which is Motherhood My Way. Very excited about the panelists that we've got. Girlfriend is joining us for that. So we'll see you in a minute.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Shanisha. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Good. All right. Session starts in 3 minutes. We got some ladies coming in the room now.
Are we live now?
We are.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You look cute, boo. I see you with the one shoulder.
Thank you. I was trying something,
I like it.
My way,
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I got a spot of oil on here, though. This is real motherhood, okay?
Right. And that's okay.
Too long.
I know I got a little water on mine earlier, but it dried off. I was like, oh, shoot.
I hope it goes away. It's oil.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hi, everyone watching.
Perfect. Let's see. All right, 2 more minutes before we get started.